Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here. First, let's take a round of applause for the people who set this up today, for yourselves. For yourselves and this amazing speaker lineup. Okay, I need to gauge the room. So clap if you guys like to code. Any coders out there? Yeah? Okay. Okay, a few, awesome. Okay, and clap if you don't like to code. It's okay, this is a safe space. There we go. Okay, listen. I'm here to tell you that regardless of if you like to code or if you don't like to code, the tech industry has a job for you. I'm gonna tell you guys about my journey from graduating to becoming a subject matter expert. So let's get started. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I played a lot of sports in high school. I played basketball. Any basketball fans? Yeah, March Madness right now, great time. I ran track. I was in the marching band, which yes, I do consider the marching band a sport. We can argue about that later. I went to school at UNCW, and initially I went to school, I actually thought I was gonna be a nurse. My parents told me my whole life, go be a doctor, go be a nurse, go be a lawyer. And I was like, cool, all right, I'm gonna do this. UNCW had a great nursing school. So I applied, I get in, and then I start taking those 100 level chemistry and biology classes. And let me tell y'all, I was an absolute no. I was like, nope, this is not for me. I need to go back and rethink. So I go to the Career Center and I take some tests to just figure out what my interests are. And I tested high for math and science, because of course I just came from like biology and things. So my career counselor said, hey, why don't you look into the tech field, look into engineering, look into computer science, look into information technology, MIS, management information systems. So I switched my major. I started taking computer science classes. I started taking Java. Java was my first class, and let me tell you, you could tell I had no experience. I didn't have any exposure to coding while I was in high school. So my first experience was that Java class, and it was really a struggle. To the point where I ended up going to the professor and saying, look, I'm not sure what I should be doing. I'm trying, this really isn't working. And he, true story, actually told me, maybe you should change your major. And I remember that was a very pivotal moment for me, because I just changed from nursing, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I remember I called my mom. And can we clap for the moms? Thank you for the moms, the support system. I called my mom and I said, Mom, I don't know what to do. I know I wanna keep doing this, but I'm stuck, it's hard. And she said, go find a TA and figure out how much they charge an hour. And start working with that TA for 3 to 5 hours a week. And that was the catalyst of events for me in my college career. So I started working with that TA, and he breaks things down for me. He slows things down. He kind of keeps reiterating those best practices and key things that you need to understand to begin coding. And he also gave me some tips. He said, work with people in your class. Peer program. Find those people that it seems easy for them and go be friends with them. He said, join clubs. So I joined the cybersecurity club, and the cybersecurity club was the best experience for me. I got to do packet sniffing. I learned packet sniffing, capture the flag things. I really thought I was a hacker. I really got to meet new people and build my network and continue to build that community and really become immersed within that technology space. And through those connections and those people that I met, I found out about a job on campus. And the job on campus was working in the library, and it was called Technology Assistance Center. Shout out to TAC and over at UNCW. And what I did there was basically desktop support. If you had any issues with installing software or uploading any of your homework, or even for teachers uploading things to the platform, you would call this group, and we would help you troubleshoot. We'd even take viruses off your computer. So that was again, building my network, starting to really, really dive into this tech world. Let me be very clear with you, I'm still a broke college student at this time, okay? So I needed another job. So I find a job at Best Buy, and I start working at the Geek Squad. So now I'm working at Geek Squad, I'm working at the library and the Technology Assistance Center, and I'm continuing to build that community. Through those connections, I found out about an internship at a shipping company, South Atlantic Services, and I implemented an ERP system. And what an ERP system is an enterprise resource planning system. And what that is it kind of just, it takes, it makes a workflow for the way that a product moves through a plant. And this company had bought this software, they needed it customized and configured for their needs, and I set that up, I set up the labels. I was the only person on the campus that was IT support, so I did desktop support, literally everything. And I remember that the semester before I graduated, they offered me a full-time job. And I'm like, I'm done. I did it, I made it. I was about to graduate, I've got a job, I lived at the beach, you really could not tell me anything. But I'm still in school, so I still have to actually go to college fairs as a requirement of my senior year. Great, by the way, that they made me do that. Because I'm going to these college fairs, I'm sending out my resume, and I get a call from a company down the street, MetLife. And MetLife said, hey, we want to offer you a position being a database engineer. And I said, okay, let me think about that. I don't know if I want to move. I have everything set here. But ultimately, I said, I want to learn from industry. I want to learn best practices from a big company. I want to learn application development from an enterprise perspective. So I packed my stuff, I moved to Raleigh. I distinctly remember that weekend. I moved in, it was a snowstorm. I'm sitting in my apartment, no furniture. And I just remember that. And so even though that's sad, the story does get better. So I began at MetLife. I started a program called MTU. I really have to give MetLife their kudos for MTU. MTU at the time was a 20-week program. You do a capstone project. My capstone project was upgrading a database and saving the company X amount of dollars because they no longer had to support an end-of-life software. Through this project, I learned about the lines of business. I learned how to figure out how my code is adding business value. How much money are we saving? So I presented that was good. I continue to want to learn, to have that drive about me to want to do more things. So at this point, I'm a database engineer. I'm learning databases like MongoDB, SQL, MySQL, Cassandra, just to name a few. And I'm still hungry. I'm still like, okay, what else can I do? So my manager says, hey, your tech lead is really too busy. Can you go down to this meeting and cover for him? And really just be the liaison and work with him, and he just doesn't have time, so you go. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to go, I'll go. So I went down and I started working with this team, and they were doing what was called containerization and Docker. And I started working with that team and learning how to do Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, application development, CI/CD, automation, and that led into the cloud. How do you do application development in the cloud? How do you do infrastructure deployment? How do you do governance? Things like that. And my mentor comes back to me and he says, why don't you do a talk and submit a talk? Talk about the experiences that you've had, the challenges that you overcome. I was like, I don't know, but I'll try. So I submit the talk, and the talk gets accepted. And I find myself flying to California for the first time in my life to go to San Francisco, to go to my first tech conference, and to be speaking in front of hundreds of people. It was my first time ever at a tech conference, and it was a beautiful experience. I continued to network, I continued to build that community. When I got back from that conference, I started doing local conferences. I started going to meetups. I hung out in RTP at Frontier. I was there all the time. I built people, I met people. I continued to build that community for myself. And so fast forward a little bit, I get a message from a recruiter on LinkedIn. And the recruiter says, hey, there's a job at Fidelity. They're looking for someone that can do Azure and automation. And I'm like, I can do that. I do that right now. So I go to the hiring manager, and I remember the interview. He was like, I need someone that knows cloud infrastructure and that knows automation. I was like, got you, I'm your person. So 2 weeks after I start the position, my one-on-one with him, he says, I need someone to automate Kubernetes deployments for the Fidelity environment. And I was like, oh, okay, I got you. I can absolutely do it. But keep in mind, I didn't even have access to any systems yet. So I've got no understanding of how this cloud environment works. But I put my head down. I worked through all the challenges. Every mistake that I made, I turned that into a lesson. Every mistake that I made, I turned that into a lesson. And that can, hold on, I'm thinking through where I'm at. And ultimately, what I was able to do there is, I did that project. I built that API, and it ended up taking me 3 to 4 months to build that. But I had overcome that hurdle. I understood now that cloud environment. And still, I'm hungry. I want more. I want to learn more things. So an opportunity became available for me to stay within the firm. However, I was able to go and be an architect for the AWS cloud. And there, I always wanted to be multi-cloud, so I wanted to learn the lingo. And it made me dangerous enough. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I would say it made me dangerous enough. And then another position comes available, still within the same firm, to be the leader of the team that I had just left. And I really thought to myself, am I ready to lead? But I knew that I had strong leadership qualities. I knew that I could bring a group of people together for a common cause, so I applied. And I ended up getting the position as what's called the squad lead, which is also known as a product owner. After that, it proceeded to be the 2 most hardest years of my life. It was nonstop. It was the scale of which we were maintaining and governing this environment. We had hundreds of subscriptions, thousands of applications. So think about the amount of automation that you need to make. So never a dull day. But that is ultimately some of the steps that I took to get to where I am today. And I hope that you guys can take a few takeaways from this journey. Be uncomfortable. It's okay to make mistakes. Turn those mistakes into lessons learned. Get jobs in your field now. Go work on campus. Potentially work in the library like I did. Those are just some opportunities. Desktop support, internships as soon as possible. The things that you're doing in your classes, put those things on your resume. Build a website. Put some of your classwork on GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub, make a GitHub. Just to put a README on your GitHub. Continue to build community. Go to conferences if you can. Join meetups. Join clubs at your school. And finally, networking. Networking is huge and key and fundamental and was a really key way for me to kind of move around the way that I did. So if you guys would just do a little quick exercise with me. If you'll just turn the person to your left and introduce yourself. There we go. And also go ahead and turn yourself to the right, the person to the right. Introduce yourself to the person to the right. All right, so now everyone has a start to their network. Continue to build on that. One thing that my mentor told me was success happens when preparation meets opportunity. Thank you so much.